Hey Compas, this is Aaron. Oh, wait, you know what? Go ahead and grab that for me. There we go. All right, that's 6 feet. Gotta remember social distancing. Much better. Hey Compas, this is Aaron from Gamers in Control, and this is the first episode of Damn Compa, that's an expensive game.
Damn, Compa, that's an expensive game.
The Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. That's right, you guessed it. This game is a platformer. I mean, come on. It was released in the 90s and based on a cartoon. Was there really any other option? You play as both the patriarch of the Flintstones fan bam and his lovable yet simple-minded BFF Barney. And both have seemed to misplace their toddlers. Good thing for these mensos, Bedrock doesn't have CPS. Each player has unique abilities. Fred can hang on to ledges, thanks to that dad grip gained from years of pounding rock. He's also bringing that big stick energy. His club deals more damage than your mom's chancla. Now this travieso can shimmy that ass on the rope and has a long range attack via his slingshot. Eat your heart out, Dennis the Menace. Power-ups, minigames, and familiar faces help you along the way. And trust me, you're gonna need all the help. This game can be very challenging at times, so the limited lives is a welcome feature. All in all, this is a great little platformer.
We're not here for another Let's Play video though. Already plenty of those on the internet. We're here to dive into how a NES game based on a cartoon from the 60s is a big-time wallet buster today. There's an old saying that timing is everything, and that couldn't be more true when it comes to the release of Surprise at Dinosaur Peak. Now let's talk timing. Flintstones Surprise at Dinosaur Peak is released in August of 1994. And what happens that same month? Nintendo discontinues the NES.
Now, why would Nintendo discontinue the NES? Well, 3 years earlier, they dropped the Super Nintendo. This game was released on the NES a full 3 years after the Super Nintendo has hit America. The NES didn't have a foot in the grave. It was laying 6 feet under, and Miyamoto was shoveling dirt on top of it.
Now this is where things get kind of muddy. In all my research for this video, it states on the internet that this is a video rental exclusive. Even though there's really nothing to support that. There's no concrete facts. There's no press release. There's no ads from back then. There's no nothing. But I think it's true. At this point, you have Super Nintendo, you have Sega Genesis. They're in a full-blown console war, really leaving no room on retailer shelves for NES games. Video rental exclusive or not, Taito wasn't putting out the kind of units they would have in years prior. But being an exclusive doesn't mean it's a priority for video rental stores. It's 1994 and VHS is king and dominates shelf space, usually leaving only a small section for video game rentals.
As you could imagine, NES games were viewed as old and outdated, sitting next to SNES and Genesis games, and were rarely rented. And if a project wasn't getting rented, it would find itself in the bargain bin, next to the Mike and Ike's, or even worse.
Now, what to do with outdated product? A common practice by video rental stores and retailers in general is to simply damage out the goods. Kobe. Damaging out inventory allows the business to write it off as a loss. More video games in the dumpster then leads to less on the market today. Alright, compas, I always say video games can be like the stock market. Prices will fluctuate. Today we're going to be looking at a chart for 2008 to 2020.
Ah, good old price charting. This website will give you a ballpark figure of what your game is worth. It's not perfect, but it's the best we have. For this chart, we're going to throw out these two peaks. These outliers are most likely the product of eBay shilling or phishing. These will be covered in a later video. Compa needs to save some content for later, you know. You can see from 2008 to about late 2011, the game is pretty stagnant, floating around $200. Now in its own right, $200 is still a pretty penny for a piece of plastic. Now this is where things get interesting. From late 2011 to 2014, you're seeing a steady increase in value. The game triples in value. You're seeing steady sales of this game around $600 or more. And in recent years, you're seeing this game reach up to $800. If you had one of these in your garage, you're saying yabba dabba do all the way to the bank, my man. Now, what makes a game triple in value? In 2011, game hunting has been popularized by YouTube. Gamers hit flea markets and garage sales, hunting for their collections, and what they can't find in the wild, they head to eBay, all just to get that piece of nostalgia. Ah, good old nostalgia. It's important to remember that people who grew up on NES games are now young adults. They have real jobs, they have steady income, but most importantly, they have disposable income. You know what else comes with being a young adult? Stress. And stress sucks. Get stress from work, stress at home, goddamn dishes aren't gonna do themselves. Maybe your family has grown, maybe you got a damn kid, who knows? You got stress though, that's for damn sure. Peachy stress could have you yearning for those simpler times. Before all this BS. Like when you were a kid. Those were pretty badass, right? This fond remembrance of days past is called nostalgia. And for most people, video games played a huge part of their childhood. And game hunters are quick to open their wallets to take a piece of their childhood and bring it into their current life. So I didn't need to do this Ninja Turtle shot, but I wanted to play with Ninja Turtles. Boom, nostalgia.
Alright, Compas, it's review time. We have The Flintstones, Surprise the Dinosaur Peak. Now, this game was most likely a video rental exclusive. It was released very late in the lifespan of the NES, which led to very few being made. Now you fast forward, it's 2011, and all those gamers who grew up on NES games, what are they doing? They're game hunting. This influx of buyers have raised prices across the board for all games, especially skyrocketing the rare ones.
It also doesn't help that you have YouTubers who keep making videos telling you how expensive this game is, further perpetuating the perceived value of this inanimate object.
Alright, now Compa just dropped a bunch of knowledge on you. Hopefully you have some insight on what goes into making a game so damn expensive. We'll see you next time on Damn Compa, that's an expensive game. Now tell me if this sounds familiar. You're out in the wild, you're at the flea market, you're looking through an old box of NES game that some old dude is selling. And there it is. Your heart starts to race. The Flintstones. But it's the Flintstones rescue of Dino and Hoppy, and not Surprise the Dinosaur Peak. Just a mere $700 in price difference.